Welcome along to Berlin. It's time for another round of the ABB FIA Formula E Championship, the 8th round, the Berlin E-Prix. Very good morning. My name is Jack Nichols, Dario Franchitti alongside me in commentary as we look at the sun setting, sun rising, I should say, over the central part of Berlin, and we are a couple of kilometres to the south in Tempelhof Airport, the old disused airfield on the apron of the huge hangar buildings. The drivers arriving this morning. Sam Bird and Robin Freins arriving with Chris Gorn, Sims and Gunter rocking up, Alex Lynn and Jerome D'Ambrosio, Victor Vries and Stoffel van Dorn, Mitch Evans and James Collado. René Rast giving a thumbs up as he looks for his first Formula E points. Lucas de Grassi all of a sudden second in the championship, and a man with no troubles on his shoulders, Antonio Felix da Costa. The same can't quite be true of Jean-Eric Vergne. Massa and Eduardo Mortara turning up as well. So another beautiful day in Berlin, and this is how the championship stands. Antonio Felix da Costa has a ginormous 68-point lead over Lucas de Grassi and Stoffel van Dorn. If da Costa wasn't in the title fight, look how amazing it would be. De Grassi, Van Dorn, Evans, Bird, Buemi, Sims would still be in the hunt. But as it is, Antonio Felix da Costa has absolutely got hooked up over the last couple of races. But of course we go in the reverse direction to the last two E-Prix, and by reversing the reverse you end up with the normal one, and that's the track that we will be taking on today. There's a look at the airfield itself and the runway in the background used for the Berlin airlift after the Second World War. DS Techeetah at the top of the team's championship as well. They look fairly unassailable as well, you have to say, although it's a little bit more in the mix because of Jean-Eric Vergne's struggles. BMW I Andretti are still in second position, and then Nissan are now up into third spot. This is the track, Dario, going the other way, which is the right way.
Yeah, the traditional layout. We've had to see some great races here in the past. Same distance, funnily enough, 2.335 kilometres. That long curving entry into turn one, nearly 270 degrees through the corner, 2-3 in a quick succession, and this long curving straight, big wide braking zone into turn 6, attack mode activation zone on the outside, that tricky kink in turn 7, heavy braking in 9, a lot of side-by-side racing there today, I would imagine. Last corner, turn 10, curved exit as well, kills that right rear tyre, and a long run to the finish line. That's a lap of Berlin, Jack. In the traditional layout.
It's going to be so interesting to see whether anything's different this way around, basically, because da Costa, if he had not got through, if he hadn't hooked up Berlin 1 so stupendously, then it wouldn't have been too bad, really. But it's the fact that he hooked up Berlin 1 and then therefore just kind of had to do the same thing for Berlin 2, and then here we are. So it might be that here he's well off the pace. I'm not actually expecting that, but we'll have to wait and see. 3 races in a row for Antonio Felix da Costa now.
Yeah, the surface is obviously the same. That's a big bonus for him. But the track, yeah, it's only the same layout as we've used the past couple of days in reverse. But it's a rhythm thing driving a racing car. The corners come at you in a different order on this track, obviously. So that can throw you off, and some drivers just get into a certain rhythm of a certain track. So that could also affect Antonio. And then Michelin have lowered the minimum tyre pressure allowed from 1.4 bar to 1.3 bar. That could completely change the balance of the car over one lap in qualifying. The way the car runs through the race, the way the tyres degrade as the race goes on. And so, I mean, we're kind of stretching here, but I think that all these things, these tiny little changes, could affect Antonio Felix da Costa.
Never had a driver win 4 races in a row in Formula E. Da Costa's obviously won 3 in a row. Sebastian Buemi has won 3 in a row. I don't think Jean-Eric Vergne, sorry, has won 3 in a row. No, he hasn't, but there's our Mario Kart 4-player view, or the quad split, as they come out now. Turn left in the pit lane, we've got Lotterer, da Costa, Buemi and de Grassi, the 4 drivers we're on board with there, as they pull out, join the circuit, and away they go to get their first laps in. And I'd imagine they'll be getting up to speed fairly quickly on this circuit as well.
Well, will they do a shakedown lap, because the cars have been rebuilt since the race a couple of days ago? So would they do a shake? I'm not sure, because normally we have a shakedown. It would have been last night.
Look at the difference between da Costa first out of the pits. Lotterer is still in the pit lane.
Yeah, and that is the advantage of being at the right end of the pit lane. As you see, the The track was washed yesterday. Some crazy big machine coming around to wash it. You see the Fiesta Cheetahs trying attack mode straight away, but it didn't, as you can see, take all of the rubber up. It took some of the rubber. Now, attack mode was critical because obviously the strategic importance of it, but a bunch of people missed attack mode going the other way in the races last week, around 6 and 7, and that really, when you miss attack mode, I mean, Lotterer felt it really compromised his race, a potential win, and Alex Lynn in round 7 said, yeah, they would have scored points in the Mahindra without missing the attack mode. So it's a big thing to get right. As you see Da Costa at the front of the field. Actually, Vern ahead. So there we go. Hopefully, look at the again. It looks low grip already this morning as we see Jean-Eric. And Jean-Eric Vern's just trying to reset at this point after his tribulations this season, really, and it's been compounded by how well his teammates doing. You see, he comes through turn 5 on the long run down to turn 6 now.
43 minutes left on the clock. Pole position last year on this circuit was Sebastian.
Let me think. It was a 107.2?
Yes, it was.
Sorry, Jack.
And it was Sebastian Buemi. He took it by 0.4 of a second over Van Dorn and De Grassi, but the Nissan last year was mighty in qualifying, so we'll see whether anyone can get near that today. And I guess those tyre pressures will probably help get nearer to that. It looks a bit dusty there, doesn't it, on the exit there? This is Scott Elkins.
Full course yellow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course yellow. Full course yellow.
Full course yellow as a test. And everybody has to slow down to 50 kilometers per hour for a brief period of time.
Round 7. Do you remember Buemi had that big lock-up as they went to full course yellow the other day, and it seemed to cost him a lot of time. I haven't found out what happened there yet. I need to ask him.
Well,
did you find out?
Well, no. I asked, because Oliver Rowland said that he also lost quite a bit of time under full course yellow.
Yes.
And I said, oh, it's a bit strange that both of you lost time under full course yellow. They nodded and said yes.
Ah.
So it was one of those.
There's more to this than meets the eye.
Yeah, and I don't know what that more to this than meets the eye is,
all
but
teams. This is race control.
Apparently it is something
full course
there.
yellow ending in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green flag.
Be interesting to see at this point. So Jean-Eric Vern is running through the different programs they have to do. He's going to be doing race running and stuff. But I bet there's a part of him is constantly looking in the mirror, just seeing, is Da Costa getting closer? Is he still quicker than me? And yeah, he's definitely, you know, Jean-Eric, I think Da Costa's got inside his head at the moment. And it really, I think it spiraled. There was a small difference between them at the start of the season, but obviously the dominance the last couple of races has hurt Jean-Eric. And obviously his championship's over, really. But yeah, it's a tough position to be in for any driver.
40 minutes left on the clock. No lap times as of yet. There's Oliver Rowland, the aforementioned. And that conversation was while he and Sebastian Buemi were having dinner the other night. Rowland had a nice little caprese salad. Buemi had a huge pizza. It was a massive pizza. Lovely bit of rocket, some Parma ham. But he's looking svelter than ever at the moment, Buemi.
Take some of the drivers, they're all sort of in the restaurant at the same time, and you can see how much the teams have been pushing the drivers on weight loss. And the drivers looked, after the double-header Wednesday and Thursday, drained on Thursday night, just sort of really drawn. As you see Sims catching up to the back of Oliver Rowland into that crazy turn. And the cars look very stable into turn 1 already. Obviously, they're not pushing yet. But Sims and Rowland will be learning a bit about each other at this point. Okay, how much energy is he saving? How quick he's able to go while saving energy? As we see Massa just out of the pits.
Do you think it's too much, the weight loss the drivers have to do at the moment? Because 2016 in Formula 1, and I know this obviously from talking to Jolyon Palmer on the F1 work I do with him, is that 2016 he had to be absolutely, he's 6'2" or something, and he had to be 72 kilos.
That man there, Alex Lynn, I mean, he's tall, he's well over 6 feet, and his weight loss regime has been crazy. Edo Mortara,
Yeah.
same thing. Edo says, I've been on a diet for 2 years, he said, and I'm struggling to lose any more. And you can see why. I mean, these guys they're taking it to the limit, but the engineers are saying, hey guys, our car's overweight and we need to move the center of gravity, we move the weight distribution of the car back, and so you need to lose weight. And at that point you're saying to the engineer, why don't you just build the car lighter? You know, come on, help me out here. So yeah, the drivers, none of them look like they've put on any excess pounds in the lockdown, unlike myself. I think what you lost, Jack, I might have put on. Oh, Massa locking up into turn 1.
Collado was there at the entrance to the corner.
Yeah, and Massa had he's had a pretty horrendous couple of races here in Berlin. The round 7, they've miscalculated the number of laps. He was saying to his team, the Venturi team, are we okay? And they're like, yeah, you're okay. So I've got the right number of laps set into the car and everything, so it's telling me how much energy to save to make that. Oh, yeah. And then quite close towards the end of the race, it became apparent that actually they'd calculated 1 lap, the race being 1 lap shorter than it was. And the day before, round 6, Felipe made a mistake on his own in turn 6, and off he went.
Here is Felipe down into the hairpin at what is now turn 9. Then up towards turn 10 and through the left-hander. First lap times we've had in from Daniel Abt to 1:09.712, so he's at the top of the times at the moment in the Neo. Sam Bird is improving on that. Felipe Massa comes across the line and goes second. James Collado for what is looking like his last double-header in Formula E. I think he's not going to be doing the last 2 races. Switching through the right-hander of turns 2 and 3, then down into 4. And Collado on the power. Had a torrid time on the reverse as we go on board with the driver's eye. And a new one with James Collado, which is nice to see. I'm really enjoying driver's eye, actually, this week. And a lot of people on the internet have noticed the sort of slightly wider view.
I love it.
And it makes it just a little bit less sort of jarring, but still has the vibrations and the real feeling of speed.
It's interesting that you say that, because I always felt that my view was more tunnel vision than this. This is definitely a better view to watch and see more things going on. But as a driver, you're focused. Is sort of more pinpoint, and you're focused further down the road, and your focus changes as well to the steering wheel, far away, you know, back again to the car again, and picking out an apex, for instance. Right now, James Collado's looking right behind the mirror, and his focus is switched from 100 meters away to right at the apex again. He's looking now at the apex at 3. His view's now going back out. He's looking out to the apex of 4, his braking point for 4. And then from pretty much, he goes through that kink, he's looking all the way down to turn 6. As Stoffel van Dorn made that terrific 3-wide pass.
He downplayed it very disappointingly. I asked him about it yesterday, and he said, well, to be honest, I think it looked more impressive than it was. I had more power, I just breezed past them. But the sketchy part of it was it Roland and Bird going side by side?
It was Roland.
And Roland said he had no idea Stoffel was there. So he was about coming into the braking zone, he thought, oh, I'll just give Sam a little squeeze. And then suddenly saw Van Dorn appear and was like, oh, no, maybe not.
So it was more impressive than it looked. Better be less impressive than it looked. I mean, it was proper. I don't know. I was very impressed with Stoffel van Dorn. I think he's done a great job, up to 3rd place in the championship now, in a couple of rocky races in Mexico and Marrakesh, and he's brought things back online.
To be clear about James Collado, I think it may be his commitment in the World Endurance Championship, which is why he may not do the final 2 races rather than anything else. Van Dorn, by his own admission, needs to sort out his qualifying, because he was on the front row of the grid in the opening race. Here's a look at Van Dorn. So yeah, front row in the opening race, 2nd place. Since then, he's twice made the top 10, but only in 9th and 10th in Santiago and Mexico City. But he's scored points in all but 2 of the races. So he started 11th in Diriyah 2, finished 3rd. He started 15th in Berlin 1, finished 6th. started 13th 2 days ago, finished 5th, so he can climb up through the order, but he just hasn't quite got on top of starting at the front of the order. Of course, he has been out in Group 1 every time because of his good start to the season and being a championship frontrunner. But where we've seen others recover a little more, there's Turvey pulling out of the way of Daniel Abt.
Yeah, look at the dust off line, Jack. And I'm surprised. There was a lot of construction yesterday. The construction crews were working really hard on the circuit, moving the curbs and just making sure that the track is safe to run in the traditional direction as opposed to the reverse direction we did for round 6 and 7. But I think some of that dust is probably the work that went on there.
And the track is getting washed before the last 2 races.
It got washed yesterday too.
Oh, it got washed yesterday?
It got washed yesterday, which is why it's so surprising that it is so dusty.
I knew it was getting washed before the last 2. I didn't realise it was getting washed yesterday as well. And Tom, aged 38 3/4, watching live from London, wants to know how they wash it. And Tom?
With a bucket and...
I don't know. Is it?
No. It's a big truck. It's this,
like an ice hockey machine thing?
But a big version of that.
I want to see it.
I think I have a picture of it somewhere.
Do you?
Yeah.
Did you see it being washed?
I saw a picture of it being washed.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, we'll keep an eye on that, because I'd like to see it being washed. Maybe they'll let me drive the washing machine. Not the washing machine, but here we are on board with those Michelins that'll be a little bit less pressurized today.
A little less tortured too. This surface is so abrasive, Jack. We were talking about it, about doing track guides, and if you think about it, when this airfield was built in the 30s, when they built the surface, they didn't really think about electric car racing. They were thinking, okay, we've got this big plane going really fast and we need to stop it in as quick a time as possible, as short a distance as possible. And that's what this surface does. It is so abrasive. And in fact, because of the reduced people in the garages for the teams this week with all the COVID protocols, Alan McNish had Audi's machine measuring the, I guess, how abrasive the surface was. He was using his little box yesterday. Ian James at Mercedes, they trusted him to measure the distance of the track. So all the team principals were they're all multitasking yesterday. Wow. Very impressive.
Yeah. Peter Leung says the ice hockey machine thing is called a Zamboni.
Yeah, this one wasn't a Zamboni. Peter, I think it's Zamboni's front engine. This was the
mid-engine.
This was mid-engine, I think. Yeah.
31.5 minutes to go. I had this is going to be a boring story now. When I was working at the Winter Olympics, we've got a yellow flag out there, so hopefully this stops this story in its tracks. Working at the Winter Olympics, and during like one of the half times in the hockey, they obviously bring the Zamboni out and flatten the ice and stuff, but the commentator wasn't told that he didn't have to commentate on it. So he spent 20 minutes commentating on this Zamboni going around on the ice hockey pitch.
That's a good story, Jack.
It's not a good story.
Tell it again.
It's not a good story. It's not relevant to this in any way. Like, and I don't mind doing a bit of irrelevant chat, but that was seriously irrelevant.
Well, it's still yellow at turn 4, so we haven't seen it. And who is that Rennie Rast? Is Rennie Rast got an issue? Yes.
Oh.
I'm learning to 6 seasons in. I'm learning to read the timing screen. Rennie Rast stopped on circuit.
Oh, yeah, Sam Smith posted a picture of the track cleaner. I'll give it a little retweet, so if you want to see the track cleaner. But Rast, that looks like a technical issue rather than
a mistake.
Yeah. Or
that's here.
To do another power cycle.
So being told to do another power cycle. Let's have a look at this replay of Gunter. We think something comes off the back of... Oh, yeah. Oh, what's that? Oh, yeah, he threw something out, did he? It looked like maybe he had almost looked like a chock or something. Huh. Interesting. A question here from Looking Spiffy regarding the Formula E driver weight concerns. Are there rules for or plans to introduce a minimum weight for driver and seat? I don't know the answer to that, but what I don't understand is if you introduce a minimum weight for drivers,
as in a combined weight, driver and car together.
Well, I think that's, yeah, if you combine the driver and car weight, let's say.
Which is what they've done.
Right, but is there a way of making it so drivers don't have to, or is it always going to be red flag is out because of Rene Rast's car? But no matter what minimums you sort of set, is it always going to be beneficial to be as light as possible?
Yeah, I think the engineers will definitely think that way, won't they?
So whatever happens, the drivers have to be as light as possible. Even if there's minimum weights and minimum, you know.
Well, yeah. If the lighter the driver is, the lighter it allows the engine, or the heavier it allows engineers to build the other components, so they've got more life in them. The drive, the drive shafts, for instance, all the drivetrain components. One series where it actually paid to be a bit heavy at one point was NASCAR, because it moved more of the weight to the inside of the car.
Ah.
And it sort of offset.
That must have been the dream.
For some of them, absolutely.
Not when you were doing it.
Well, I put a bit of weight on. I probably put on 6 or 7 kilos very quickly.
Really?
Yeah, and then I had to take it off in a hurry when I went back to IndyCar, and it was quite a shock to the system, I must say. Now, I wonder, I'd love to hear how much issue the drivers are having with this lower Michelin tyre pressure, how much the teams are having to adjust.
And that's the chop that Gunter threw out of his car.
Why would it have been in the car?
No, I don't know. I'm glad I spotted the chock.
I am too. I'm so shocked. See,
What can I say?
Rast getting pushed behind the wall. This is his session over. There's still 27 minutes to go. That's a big chunk of your percentage of. No, it's going to pit lane. He's going to pit lane, so he should be all right. Actually, get back to the FIA garages. So hopefully Audi can come and pick the car up and take it back. Because otherwise, Rast, new to the series for this Berlin race, he's 22nd in points right now. Sam Bird coming through. Look how much roll the cars have got today through this sector. Now, Sam not correcting, actually not really correcting at all. That Envision Virgin car looks like it's running quite nicely so far. Sam Bird top of the charts, but 9.0. The fastest we saw in free practice 1 last year was an 8.1 from Mitch Evans. But we haven't really seen anybody do a big attack mode laps yet, or qualifying simulations.
Looking spiffy, I do have the answer from Sam Smith from the race.com, who reports that next season the regulations will be expanded in an attempt to make driver weights less of an issue, as Formula E will follow F1's example with a minimum 80 kilo rule for the driver with foam seat, FI extractable seat shell and driving equipment.
Brilliant.
So if you're taller, you're still gonna have some work on your hands, but less dramatic than now, which is good.
Yeah, because it's I'm glad they're doing that, and that I'm sure some of the drivers will breathe a silent relief when they're having some pizza after the last race in a couple of days' time.
So red flag, but the session will resume in a couple of moments' time. The clock keeps ticking while we're behind red flag in free practice session, basically because we got to get it finished. Whereas
there's a schedule, a full running schedule for the track.
So qualifying, if we have a red flag, then we pause the clock so that you get the full allotted amount of time in. Same with the race, you red flag it and you stop the clock. But in practice, it doesn't really matter if you lose 5 or 6 minutes of practice. Well, it does for the drivers, but not for the FIA. They're the ones in charge. So that's the difference there. Felipe Massa, James Collado there. Just getting ready to head back out onto the track, and I mean we should be getting underway pretty soon, because Rast's car had already been cleared as Collado just gets a bit of cooling down.
And look to the left side of Collado's head, you can see the camera.
The right as we look at it.
Yeah, the right side of the screen, Collado's left eye. That is the camera that shows you the driver's eye view. So it is on his eye line. That is such a great thing.
Yeah, really cool, isn't it? And Collado heads back out. Green flag, we join the driver's eye. Oh, he's got his visor up. That's interesting.
He's trying to get some cool air in it.
In a minute, we'll see him pop it down. This will be quite cool.
You can see the locking mechanism on the left.
Here we go. Pop it down. Away we go.
And it kept up a bit longer. It is so hot out there today, which creates some, we've talked about problems for the tyres, but also problems for the battery. A lot of the drivers in round 7 on Thursday were complaining or saying that they were so close on battery temperature and getting warnings on battery temperature, and that means that they can recharge less, they can regenerate less, they can put less energy back into the battery, and that means they have to go slower essentially. think about it, when you charge your phone up, how warm it gets. Well, they're doing this a lot more aggressively, as you see. Peter Mortara, look at that intense face, looking at the information on the steering wheel.
Mortara getting ready to go back out. There is Sergio Sete Câmara, the Brazilian 22-year-old, who was a second off in qualifying, what he managed in free practice. So I think he's struggling to get to grips with this qualifying, not exactly the format, but how the car is in qualifying and having one shot to get it done. On board then for a lap with driver's eye.
So you see on the right-hand side, maximum power, a bit of lifting, coasting, regeneration, it goes to green, putting energy back into the battery. Look how long this turn 1 is, keeps going, and immediately into 2, 3, using the throttle a bit to try and get rid of some of that understeer. Short blast up to turn 4 on the brakes. You've got to get off turn 4 here well, because there's that kink. Now it's this long run up to turn 6. Wide open braking zone. We've seen some great moves here in the past. Is he going to use attack mode? Nope, he's going to head to the apex. Back to the throttle. Good regeneration on the way into the corner. A lift through the kink. Turn 7. Bit of regen as well there, taking every advantage he can. It's going to be heavy braking into turn 9. Again, more regeneration. The car's beeping in his ear. The car's telling him when to lift and then when to regenerate, when to even brake. The car bosses you about quite a lot. It's coming up to the last corner now again. Bit of lift, coast, regen. Look how curved this last corner is, though. That just keeps turning, and that puts a lot of pressure on the right rear tyre. Probably not as much as with the reverse layout as he crosses a line, but still, you're going to be really taxing every component of the car today, including the tyres.
There is the Jaguar team, having watched that lap on board with James Collado. Gunter goes to the top of the times on a 1 minute 8.8 in the BMW. Now they're a team that have really struggled here in Berlin.
Still second in the team's points, but
yeah.
I mean, as far as the driver stuff, Gunter has just continued to fall. He fell another 4 places in the championship in round 7. Disqualified in round 6, did not finish in round 7. Yeah, it's all consistent challenges are not appearing to Da Costa and Diaz Techeetah at the moment.
They've picked up 2 points in here in 2 races. Pointless race yesterday, which I think was their first of the season. Must have been their first pointless race of the season. Yeah.
That car is quick, but it's all kind of gone wrong. And the problem is the difference between getting everything right and getting good points and tiny points. It's so close. And once, especially early in the race, once you have one thing go slightly wrong, it just spirals from there. See Alex Lynn getting a bit of traffic out of turn 9. Oh, right up close to the wall at 10, trying to open up as much as he can the entry of the corner, cut the angle down.
It's a bit better for BMW, a 1-2 now with Alex Sims going into second place. Alex Lynn comes across the line and remains in 20th position at the moment. Jerome D'Ambrosio is on an attack mode lap that looks like he will go up to the top of the times. Indeed he does, a 1 minute 1 minute 8.119. Here's a replay of Antonio Felix da Costa. Oh, locking up, almost going into the back of his teammate Jean-Eric Verne, who'd tried to keep out of the way. Da Costa 5th quickest at the moment, for what it's worth, but I think we are... as you hear that, Verne had to give it a bit of power, I think, coming down into the hair, because he suddenly saw Da Costa coming up behind him.
And it's difficult to look in the mirrors. You see the wings on the back. It's very difficult to look in the mirror and exactly see what is going on behind you. And when you're on a cool down lap and somebody else is maybe on a full power lap, this speed differential is huge. And you see Max Gunter is under investigation for an unsafe pit stop release. I wonder if that's because of his, what was it called? You called it chock. Ah, very apt on an airfield.
Oh, very good.
Very good. And that wasn't Daniel apt.
Darren, you're on. Did you get an early night or something?
Yeah, funnily enough, I did.
I tell you what, I got an early night and I feel tremendous. 9 hours sleep last night.
That's unheard of for you.
I know. 19 and a half minutes left on the clock. And D'Ambrosio is top. Roland there is second at the moment, 0.08 of a second behind Jerome D'Ambrosio. Struggling to find the balance in qualifying, Oliver Roland. And I don't mean car balance, but I mean balance of aggression, because he's been hundredths away from missing Superpole the last couple of races, because in his own words, last year he was either on pole or in the wall in qualifying. So trying to dial that back and be fast but also not crash is something that he's working on as Turvey locks up down into the hairpin.
And this is where teams can, I think, get it wrong, because you say to someone, don't do X, and the first thing they're going to do is do X. So you say to the driver, don't crash.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right, because that's what I'm planning on doing, right? And it just completely messes up their head. And Oliver Roland was a qualifying machine last year, and it's just kind of messed up. And Turvey is really struggling with the brakes and the Neo.
That's an interesting, because I think if someone said to me, I think we might see another Turvey thing here, a bit of a slide, a lot of a slide. But if someone said to me just before I went on air, don't swear, I'd probably spend the whole session thinking, oh, I better not swear. Whereas before it doesn't cross my mind, because of course I'm not going to swear. I'm not
Hopefully.
Stupid. Yeah, I've never actually sworn on a live broadcast. Well done me.
I'm touching mood here, but seriously, I've had team owners say that to me before. Look, you've crashed a couple of times now. We need you not to crash. Guess what happened? The car came back in kit form again. So, yeah, not. And that's where somebody like an Alan McNish or a Susie Wolf comes in handy, because they know, they've been told in the past, especially McNish, not to crash. And they know what that does to a driver and the psychology of a driver, and so they avoid saying things like that, and they deal with it in the right ways. You see Lucas Di Grassi on his way second in the points. He's made some big progress in the championship standings. Still 68 points behind championship leader Antonio Felix da Costa. 68 points between first and second, and then it is, what is it, 27 points down to fifth.
Yeah. It's so tight. And 68 points between first and second.
Yeah, and 27 points.
Di Grassi has only scored 57. So Da Costa's got more than double the points of anyone else after 7 races, and there's only 4 races to go. Here's Sam Bird on attack mode.
Yeah, on a good lap, quickest of anybody through sector 1 and sector 2, Jack, as he pushes towards the finish line. Let's see where this puts him. No surprise, P1.
1 minute 7.903 for Bird. 2/10 clear of D'Ambrosio. And then, so those top 3 are drivers that have done it laps on attack mode. It's Andre Lotterer, who has a couple of podium finishes this year. I would describe the season for Lotterer and Porsche as inconsistent. They're sometimes right there, and sometimes they are not there. And I guess that's true of a lot of the teams, but it seems quite dramatic with Porsche.
Yeah, but let's give them a little break here. It's the first season, Porsche's first season of the championship, and I think
it's the best start to a season for a new team in Formula E history.
Apart from the first
Apart from
year.
season 1, yeah.
No, but I think Porsche have done a very good job coming, and I'm sure that the 150-odd day break helped them to really work and figure out some of the things they were missing. And they came back, obviously, second position. A podium in Germany for Porsche is a big deal, but I'm sure they'll be pushing for more in these next 4 races over the next 6 days.
One of the a person who I worked with at Formula 2, who now works in Formula E, has just reminded me of a time I did actually accidentally say a rude word on air. So there we go. I said Formula 2 championship, but I said championship a bit wrong. Wasn't ideal. 15, but luckily no one was watching. Here's Robin Freitz. Happy birthday to him yesterday. We sang him happy birthday in the foyer, which is in the lobby of the hotel, which, as you can imagine, went down very well with Robin.
We thought it was funny.
It was hilarious.
And Robin missed. Oh, and he's missed the braking again. Missed the braking in the apex in 9. Locked up into 10, so there'll be a bit of an adjustment going on for his next push lap. Where does this put him? Third, yeah, there we go, 2.5 tenths behind his teammate, actually behind Mortara, who's just gone to the top of the standings, a 10th behind Sam Bird. So on the reverse layout, Da Costa, we talked about him missing the apex in turn 1 on his first qualifying lap. Yeah, he meant to do that because he thought it allowed him to brake later and it wasn't as critical. So he actually did mean to miss the apex on that first corner. He's just so ahead of the car right now, and that's allowing him. It's just when he makes a mistake or anything, he just knows exactly where to pull the time out of the car. As we see Max Günther on a lap trying attack mode, figuring out where those sensors are. How much of a liberty can you take with the sensors?
Now, question.
Okay.
It's going to be difficult now. We're not looking at attack mode, but it feels like it's earlier in the corner than before, right?
And they moved it from reverse. It was moved yesterday.
Correct, but yesterday it felt like it was kind of, let's say, halfway through the corner, whereas here it feels like it's sort of on the straight line as you're coming towards it.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
So that I don't think we'll see that kind of late cutting in from Da Costa, because you'll want to go straight on through it anyway.
But yeah, I think it's still very difficult to get all 3 sensors. There's 3 sensors in there that you must cross to activate attack mode, and we saw Lotterer, we saw Alex Lynn, as we've said, missing that amongst others. And it's so difficult to get it. You just got to be off by, I don't know, 10 centimeters, and it's and that's it. You've missed it, and that can ruin your race. Stoffel van Dorn looks like the rear of that Mercedes is dancing just a little bit. And you won't want that this early. I mean, it's pretty warm right now. The race this evening, 7 o'clock, green flag, it's going to start to cool down, but it's not going to cool down much. The sun not beating on the concrete, that's going to help the tyre wear a bit, but I'm not sure it's going to help the battery temperatures.
Yeah, though I was surprised to hear some of the teams were a little battery temperature in trouble.
I think they were too. Honestly, I think some people went,
because we go to Chile and it's 38 degrees or something, and here, okay, it's been warm. It's been over 30 ambient, but it's not been crazy. And Sanya as well. You'd step outside in Sanya, and you know, if I'd have walked outside of the commentary box covered in eggs and flour, out there for 20 minutes, I'd have been a lovely sponge. Like, it was ridiculously hot. Whereas here, it's just a very pleasant, you know, European summer.
But De Vries looks like he's on full power. Looks like he's doing a qualifying simulation. Let's see when he goes to full throttle. Oh, he slid though through 3. It looks like he just actually it's attack mode, but he slid right across the apex of turn 3. That's going to have cost him a lot of time as he crosses the first timing line.
Very harsh grid penalty, in my personal opinion, for Nick De Vries. Got out of his car yesterday or 2 days ago when the car broke down in the race. He had no radio communications. He was almost off the circuit anyway, so he got out and he rolled it away. Now, the rules are you have to stay in your car and wait for race control and the medical car to come and tell you what to do and tell you can get out of it as he locks up the right front. So he got a fine, he got points on his license, and he got a grid penalty. And for me, a fine and points, fine. You're not allowed to do it. Fine you some money, don't do it again. But a sporting penalty for something that didn't give you any sporting advantage, but it wasn't even of something that you do in a sporting context, feels pretty harsh on De Vries. 5th across the line.
I am with you 100% on that, Jack. I understand the safety thing. He was trying to be a good guy, and he got fined for it. He'll definitely learn from it. But it's like, come on, I agree with you. The fine, okay, there's your fine. Don't do it again. But yeah,
and I think
harsh.
If he'd have just got out the car and wandered off as well, then okay, fine. He couldn't be bothered to wait in the car or whatever. But he pushed the car out the way, like he was doing it for the right reasons. And I don't remember De Grassi getting a grid drop for when he got out of the car in Sanya.
Good question. Unless they've changed the rules.
Yeah,
but yeah, anyway, it was harsh. Nick De Vries, we've given him a hard time about his defending, but he was trying to be a good guy. You see Mitch Evans. And what has happened to Jaguar's performance these last 2 races? This is a team that, they came here on a high. They dominated in Mexico. He was on a different zip code. It was more than Da Costa levels of dominance in Mexico for Mitch Evans and the Jaguar team, and they've just struggled here. But as he goes top of the timesheet.
The alarm on my phone has just gone off because I've got my next COVID test in 10 minutes. so might be a bit late for that one. 9.5 minutes left on the clock, so it'll be pretty touch and go, won't it? My slot is 9:45 to 10 o'clock, so yeah, as soon as we're done here, off I go to get a swab in my throat. 9 minutes left, as I say. Evans quickest on a 1 minute 7.455, a tenth ahead of Alexander Sims. Sergio Sette Camara third. Good effort from him on attack mode. Lucas Di Grassi's at full power then, as this is our first run at full power. Is he? No, apologies. He must have just been fan boosting then, because he's coming down the backs. No, he is on full power. Maybe that's a fan boost test for Di Grassi as he comes down into the left-hander. Yeah, because then he goes back onto the blue LEDs of attack mode. But he's doing quick anyway. Evans goes to the top of the times. 1 minute 7.455. There's the Jaguar pace.
If I'm looking at Di Grassi, you've got to say the back end of the car does not look happy. It looks like he's really having to be very careful, wait till the car's straight. Again, snap of oversteer. That's fine for one lap. That is not going to work when it comes to the race this evening. The rear tyres will be burnt off that Audi in no time at all, and I'm sure Lucas is feeding that back to them, and they will make the necessary adjustments.
So here comes Di Grassi across the line, and he goes 8th quickest. A bit of clarity on the Nick de Vries situation we were just discussing. He got the fine for getting out of the car, but the grid penalty for pushing the car. So that's why, in that comparison with Di Grassi last year, there was no grid penalty because Di Grassi didn't push the car. Still
harsh
for me, remarkably harsh. But there we go. Here comes Eduardo Mortara then, out across the line. 4th at the moment, but he's going quicker on this lap. It's a full power lap for Mortara, and he does a 1 minute 7.212, and that is the fastest time we've ever had around this circuit. So we're going to have quite a lot of pace here today.
And you see what they're doing, Jack. As Mortara came to the line, he pulled over to the left, didn't take the normal racing line because he's trying to cut the distance to the timing line and just get the maximum lap time that's possible. Sounds like tyres going on the Jaguar. Maybe they're going to either scrub a new set for later this afternoon or prepare a set for qualifying, or go do a nice full power lap.
7 minutes left on the clock. Jerome D'Ambrosio at full power in the Mahindra, down into turn 1. Looping all the way around the left. And then to the right.
Turn 1's a frustrating corner because it goes on so long and it's very easy to get frustrated and overdrive the car, and the car starts sliding and the problem goes worse. Jerome D'Ambrosio qualified very well in round 6. Not so well in round 7 for the Mahindra team, so he'll be looking for a turnaround of fortune today. Oh, the Mahindra hitting the ground as he braked for turn 6, and you can see the almost puffs as the carbon fibre at the bottom of the car was hitting the ground. When that's happening, obviously the car's on the ground, the wheels are off the ground, makes it very difficult to brake as hard as you want. Let's see if it does it again into here. Oh, actually quite soft in the brakes from D'Ambrosio, but missed. You have to say missed the exit a bit and run a bit wide. The quickest of anybody through sector 2, which you would expect with 2 long straights, and him being at full power qualifying level at 250 kilowatts.
Daniel Eckersley points out as across the line comes D'Ambrosio to go quickest on a 1 minute 6.9. So these lap times are now over 2 seconds quicker than their qualifying in the Race at Home Challenge. Isn't that interesting? 1 minute 9.1 was the pole time in the Race at Home Challenge, and now D'Ambrosio is seeing 1 minute 6.9. I found it amusing. That's all right. You can leave, Dario. You don't have. No one's forcing you to be here. Well, they are actually. Gunter across the line. Then he's starting a flying lap now in the BMW. Is Sims on one as well? Yes, he is.
If he is, he's got traffic. Oh, one car, one Porsche,
oh. And
one Venturi,
Gianni and Massa. Sims through sector 1 is 200ths down on D'Ambrosio's time.
BMW looks like it's putting the power down very well. The problem when it does that is the front of the car sliding to make up for it. You have to try and keep the car in balance front to rear, and if you want the rear to work, sometimes you've got to take grip away from the front. Very late apex, but the car rotated well. You saw the discs glowing red in the middle of the front wheel.
Sims a 1/10 of a second down after sector 2. De Costa is on a attack mode lap. Nick de Vries on full power has just gone a 1/10 up on D'Ambrosio in sector 1. Here comes Sims.
Pushing until turn 5, keep pushing.
Keep pushing is the message to Alex Sims, who goes 5th quickest. Here comes Max Günther up into 3rd place. Got given a penalty for causing a collision with Sam Bird yesterday. Bird was still happy with his progress, but Günther came in with damage, and Bird lost half of his front wing. D'Ambrosio still quickest. Sete Camara really giving it some in that Dragon, and he's 1.4 seconds off, so lost a lot of time in the middle sector. So a mistake out there somewhere. De Vries is still up on D'Ambrosio's time. There goes Nick De Vries, 3rd quickest, 0.3 of a second away on D'Ambrosio, so lost quite a bit of time in the final sector. Stoffel Van Dorn is 300ths down in the Mercedes. He comes across the line again, loses time in the D'Ambrosio's final sector. Really strong, 3 or 4 tenths quicker than anyone else is managing there.
I said it, he looked like he missed the exit of turn 9. Maybe that was a big, he's doing on purpose to get the car straighter earlier, and that way he can put the power down because he's not trying to turn and accelerate at the same time.
Good first sector for Nico Muller in the Geox Dragon, DTM race winner last weekend at Spa. That's slidey. Well, leany.
Yeah, he sort of lifted a bit early through the kink and then accelerated through. Oh, that was a big slide though, right in the apex, unusually right in the apex of turn 9, lost the rear. He'll definitely lost some time through that final sector. Let's see how he goes through 10. Oh, big slide on the exit of 10. That's a great camera angle that shows the rear of the car and shows the driver's fighting with it. Where does it put him? 6th.
It's encouraging. Half a second away from Jerome D'Ambrosio. Dragon both qualifying outside the top 20 yesterday. Oliver Turvey in the Neo. Great qualifying from him for race 1 to go 15th. Bird has gone full power. As he comes across the line, we're getting quite a few full power runs coming in now, with 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Rocket Venturi, as Turvey locks up, having a go at me on Twitter for keep saying yesterday. And it's been very difficult to get your head around this. I got a load of stick for calling it the weekend last week. I still think there was a race yesterday, because why wouldn't there have been if we've got a race today? But there was the big correction from Muller.
And it went actually quite early. It was correcting from quite early in the corner. Yeah, I don't know. Today, yesterday, weekends, we're racing. I'm happy. Well, Nico Muller's happy that car is not in the wall. Here we go, Da Costa, full power. And again, look how he just gets the car rotated nice and early. And we're off board. Lots of traffic ahead for Da Costa.
Championship leader, champion-elect, you might say. And Da Costa through sector 1 is almost a 10th up on D'Ambrosio.
Let's see how his braking goes. This is a heavy braking zone. Hear the car chirping almost as it hits the ground. But again, nice and clean through there. We'll lift a bit earlier, accelerate through this kink. Yeah, lovely. How's the second split? We're coming up to it now as you see the traffic ahead.
He's up by 2 tenths on D'Ambrosio.
Got a bit of traffic though, got one of the Rocket Venturis. He was thinking about it, he's thinking should I have a go? Locked up just a bit on the left front. That would have hurt him. Look at him correcting the oversteer as he again uses that narrow. He's deciding whether to go narrow or get the slipstream.
And he goes quickest again, loses time to D'Ambrosio in the final sector, but still a 1 minute 6.8. Vern on his full power lap, 16th quickest up. I'm starting to wonder with Vern's car. I am, because he said yesterday in the race that halfway through he just suddenly lost all pace, and he was half a second off the pace, and that's kind of what happened in race 1, in that he was right up behind Da Costa and they looked to be bossing it. And okay, something, you know, that they kind of fell out within the team, but then he just dropped backwards and backwards and backwards, having previously extended a 6-second gap. So it all just feels a bit suspicious, and I'm not criticizing.
Let's be clear, this is not a sort of conspiracy theory for the DS Techeetah guys to have one car better than another, but we've seen this before in Formula E, but also in other championships I've been involved in. You have essentially identical cars set up identically that handle and perform completely differently, and some of that is because of the tolerances and the manufacture of parts. We see Alex Lynn. Is he on full power? Yeah, he is in full power. His personal best sector through 1 and 2. Looks like he didn't get traffic there. Gets off turn 10 very well. takes the short distance to the line.
Jean-Eric Verne not happy with his setup. He's locking the rears and the fronts, apparently. And Alex Lynn goes 5th quickest, just behind Sam Bird. Couple of tenths behind Jerome D'Ambrosio. But Da Costa and D'Ambrosio in a little bit of a world of their own at the moment. 3 tenths clear of the rest of the field. Here comes Daniel Abt.
Daniel Abt locking up again. It looks like the Neo guys have got some big problems with the balance of the braking system on that car. Both Daniel Abt, Oliver Turvey just cannot get the car stopped.
Didn't improve on that lap, Daniel Abt. So checker flag is out. The session comes to its conclusion. Antonio Felix da Costa quickest on a 1 minute 6.831. A 10th up on Jerome D'Ambrosio. Edo Mortara in 3rd place. Good work from the Venturi team. Bird 4th, Lynn 5th, Gianni De Vries, Van Dorn, Lotterer, Gunter the top 10, Muller up there in 11th place, which is good for Nico Muller.
Good job by Neil Jani in the Porsche.
Yeah,
E6.
that's true. Ahead of his teammate Lotterer. So maybe Gianni's getting a little bit more hooked up today. Here's a replay of Da Costa.
See if there is actually any correction at all. Mild. And this is where the others think that Da Costa is finding an advantage. He's not sliding the car, he's gaining the lap time, but he's keeping the tyre right on its limit, not going over it, and that's where he's getting his advantage. Yeah, on 1 lap, but especially over a race distance.
He was telling me the other day that you have one, he said it's so on the limit with these tyres and the tyre temperatures that if you have one wheel spin coming out of turn 1, you spin the wheels up a tiny bit coming out of turn 1, the temperatures go up by 1 degree, you're done. You're done for the rest of the lap.
Yeah.
You can still do a decent lap, but you're not doing the best lap. And so that's what he's saying, that all the drivers are saying to him, your car looks so good under traction. And he's like, well, no, I'm just being crazy gentle with it.
You see, this is the interesting thing with Da Costa, and it's his personality, I think, in a lot of ways. If that was me and they said that, I'd say, oh, thanks very much. That wouldn't tell them anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell anybody anything. I'd be keeping it to myself, keeping my cards close to my chest. But, you know, it's one of the reasons, I guess, Da Costa is such an outgoing personality.
Some practice starts for De Grassi and Gunter.
And it doesn't look like René Rast got back out. I'm just checking the number of laps. The timing screen has changed here, but yeah, he's 2.5 seconds off the next slowest car.
Because we saw a shot of his car and it was all up on the stands.
Yeah.
He was nowhere near it, so that's a bit of a disadvantage for Rast. If he can get out in the second practice session, it won't be a ginormous disadvantage in the way that it was for James Collado.
Neither of which have been here before. Rast,
well, yeah, exactly.
That's the big problem for Rast.
There's a big old burnout. Who was that? Absolutely smoked. Is it one of the Dragons? I think it might be Sergio Sede Camara, who has done a real big burnout there. As we have a few more practice starts, pulling away down into turn 1. Traditional Berlin has seen Antonio Felix da Costa take his now traditional place at the top of the standings. A 1 minute 6.831, fractionally quicker than D'Ambrosio. And then look at that, 3-4 tenths over the rest of the field. Mortara, Bird, Lynn, 2 Mercedes are up there. Max Gunter completing the top 10. Again, nowhere for the Jaguars. Mitch Evans down in 13th position. Lucas Di Grassi in 14th place, so a lot of the front runners down on that second page of the grid. Again, 0.6 of a second off the pace. Obviously, not hugely representative. Robin Freintz, a second off, for example, 0.7 off his teammate, so must have made an error on his fast lap. And Turvey and Abt, again, the 2 Neo 333 drivers, quite a long way away. René Rast not getting many laps in after his car broke down. Antonio Felix da Costa getting wheeled back into the pit lane. It's just unstoppable.
Oh, yeah, it's not over yet. That's why we have the races. That's part of the fun. That's why everybody's tuning in this afternoon, or this evening, and tomorrow, and Wednesday and Thursday. But yeah, he's doing such a good job. He's just on that flow, Jack. He's just got the momentum. He's got the confidence.
Yeah, I think that's what I find amazing, is that you know, he's had all these great performances, and then just a free practice one, which, as we know, it's not hugely representative, it's not massively important. Obviously, it's important for gaining data and feeling, but, you know, the lap time you do doesn't matter. And then he's getting out the screen, getting out the car, looking at the screen, he's 4/10 up on everyone else again. And there,
he's just having the time of his life. And in situations like this, honestly, you're looking, why is everybody else so slow? Why are they all doing... And that is your mindset. It's like, what are they doing? Why? It's not that difficult.
Yeah.
And then trust me, you're on the other side of the coin. You're like, this is impossible. This is like trying to climb Everest on one leg.
Yeah.
And he's on the other side of it. I said to him the other night, I said, enjoy it while you can, because you know that. I hope it lasts a long time for you. But these things don't last forever. It's too competitive.
There's Robin Freitz making his way to be weighed, or back from being weighed. Scored some points 2 days ago for the first time since the opening round.
Keeping his balaclava on instead of a mask. That's good, quick thinking by Robin.
Although, of course, the balaclava doesn't cover his nose, but there we go. He'll be putting his mask on any moment now. As ever, the Fan Boost voting is open, so intense Fan Boost action for sure over this current period. Da Costa ahead of Van Dorn at the moment. Those two pretty much guaranteed. And then you got Abt, Evans and Lotterer. So Mitch Evans in the mix, as is Andre Lotterer. Lucas di Grassi a little bit out of it. There is Edoardo Mortara. You can vote online at FIAFormulaE.com/fanboost, or you go on Twitter, do #fanboost and #driver name, and there we go. Then you can give your favourite driver a boost going into the race later today. So, traditional Berlin. Sam Bird messing around with Robin Freitz before the session got underway. First out on track was the reigning champion Jean-Eric Vergne, followed by, seemingly, the champion-elect Antonio Felix da Costa in the DS Techeetah. Oliver Rowland was one of the first drivers to go in the attack mode, setting a reasonable lap in the early stages. Alex Lynn looked impressive again, 5th place after a very strong qualifying 2 days ago. A change around of tyres for Antonio Felix da Costa. Turvey had to get past Andre Lotterer, Stoffel Van Dorn. And the Mercedes team looking in the mix. Nick de Vries and Van Dorn were 7th and 8th. Sam Bird in the Envision Virgin car ended up 4th quickest. Then René Rast broke down at the hairpin. Really frustrating stuff for him. This was James Collado. 5s are down, away we go. Jean-Eric Vergne almost got hit in the back by Antonio Felix da Costa at one point down at the hairpin. Oliver Turvey was really struggling with that Neo. Lower tyre pressures for today might have changed things around a little bit at the front of the order, but not for Antonio Felix da Costa, who is still top of the times. So we will be back in an hour or so for free practice 2. Sam Bird making his way down. Edoardo Mortara has just been weighed as well, but free practice 2. Another half hour for the drivers to get on top of things. Jean-Eric Vergne very frustrated with his setup. Can he find any kind of pace to match his teammate when we come back for free practice 2?